In 1995, Enough is Enough emerged as the national leader on the front lines of protecting children from internet pornography and sexual predators. A nonprofit organization, Enough is Enough pioneers innovative solutions that promote a shared responsibility for prevention, uniting the public, the technology industry, and the legal community. Enough is Enough President Donna Rice Hughes is an internationally known internet safety expert, author, and speaker. She has given more than 3,500 media interviews, testified in congressional hearings, served on the Child Online Protection Commission, and authored Kids Online. She is the host of the groundbreaking teaching series, Internet Safety 101, Empowering Parents. Enough is Enough, making the internet safer for children and families.
Good, very early morning, Utah. Wow, what a crowd. Thank you for coming out. It is such a privilege and pleasure for me to be here with you this morning for both Jack and I, and what a beautiful state. I mean, so breathtaking just to see these gorgeous mountains. Wow. And Pamela, thank you for the kind introduction, and to UCAP for all the amazing work that you're doing here in Utah on this issue, and to the First Lady of Utah. So great to meet you, and thank you for your remarks and for the work that you're doing. And also, I just want to thank my host, Jack Sunderledge, and all the great team at Net Nanny who have helped us since we've been here, and they've just been wonderful, wonderful hosts. So without further ado, we're going to begin. Could everyone hear the audio on that opening okay? Are we okay on that? All right. Everybody awake? Am I a little too loud here? Kind of feels like it. Okay, I'm going to go right here. Well, every child deserves a protected space of innocence, don't they? And it's up to us as the adult community to make sure that their innocence is protected. Now, what I've been asked to talk about is where we've come from on this issue, where we are currently, and where we're going. Now, as you heard in the opening, Enough is Enough has been on the front lines of protecting children from internet pornography and sexual predators since 1994. Now, that's a long time. When I first started, Enough is Enough in 1992 had started a national organization to protect children, women, and families from pornography in print and broadcast. Okay, this was prior to the internet. When I came on, the internet was just starting to happen. In fact, we saw the very early signs of a huge, burgeoning problem when hardcore material that you couldn't even find in a XXX rated adult bookstore was surfacing on the news groups. We also saw pedophiles having conversations back and forth, exchanging child pornography, which was black marketed at the time, and talking about how to molest children. And we thought, oh my gosh, we have got to get on the front end of this, because we saw that the internet had the opportunity to become a wonderful, powerful force for good, but that it could also be used for evil, just like anything. Okay, the technology, the internet itself is neutral. So we began the battle on the national level, and we developed a strategy to deal with this. And this is still a working strategy that we at Enough is Enough use today. Communities across the country and even around the world, when they look at these kinds of issues, are using, and even our own federal government. And that is, in order to tackle these kinds of problems, you need a three-prong approach. All right, it's like three legs of a stool. They all need to be doing their part. Now, of course, you've got the public. All right, and this is where education and empowerment comes in. And the public we usually think of as the parents, the educators, librarians, any caregiver of children. They can do what they need to do when that child is at the computer or on an internet-enabled device. Then you have the technology industry, all right? That's the internet industry, developing family-friendly policies and also the tools that we need to have in place in order to protect kids online. And then thirdly, the legal community. All right, we've got to have our laws enforced. And when the internet became mainstream, we also had to deal with how do we extend the laws to this new technology in an effective and a powerful way. So let me just give you what I call Pornography 101. And if anybody says, what did you learn today? You could say, well, I learned a little bit about Pornography 101. What is it? All right? There are 3 legal types of pornography. Well, I can't say legal. Okay, the law defines pornography, 3 different types of pornography. The first is what we call harmful to minors material or indecency. Okay? The harmful to minor materials apply to print. All right? The indecency broadcast laws apply to broadcast and television. Now, why is this important? We have legal barriers in place that protect minor children from accessing material that the courts deem to be protected speech for adults. That means that a child cannot go out and buy a Playboy or a Penthouse magazine, but someone over 18 can. All right? Someone over 18 can get a pornographic video or the Playboy channel on television, but a minor child cannot. Well, when the internet started, Congress passed a law called the Communications Decency Act that would extend these same kinds of protections to protect kids on the internet. All right? It went straight to the Supreme Court. Also included in that law was the first anti-child stalking provision, which was not challenged by the ACLU. But the indecency provision did go to the Supreme Court, and it was struck down. So we didn't have a law. Congress went back to the drawing board again and passed another law called the Child Online Protection Act, which I was served as a commissioner on. And again, this would require pornographers on the web to have a brown cyber wrapper, if you will, to guard against children seeing their free pictures. Okay, which is a huge problem, by the way. All the pornographers have free images, free teaser images on their website. That law was held up in court for 10 years, since 1998. Finally, after many, many challenges back and forth, the Supreme Court only a month ago decided they were just going to throw it out. So it never went into effect. So what's the net result? There are no legal barriers to protect children from this kind of material. Now, the second kind of pornography, the courts refer to as obscenity. This kind of material is not protected speech. Don't ever let anybody tell you that it is. This is hardcore material that depicts graphic sex acts and also any of the deviant material like bestiality, torture, rape, that kind of content. That is prosecutable under current federal statute. All right? The first 8 years that the internet was commercial under the Clinton administration, guess how many obscenity prosecutions we had? 0. Okay, 0. Under the Bush administration, we did a little better. We had somewhere around 50 to 100, all right? So what does that mean? This material is out there, and kids and everyone has free and easy access to it, not because it's not prosecutable, but because it's not being prosecuted. And then the third type of material is child pornography. And of course, we heard that this is actually the sexual exploitation of a child caught on print or in video. So those are the 3 types of material. Now, this is where we are. We heard some statistics early on, but just notice in the United States alone, internet pornography is $3 billion a year. But I want you to see something that I find very interesting. The US of A, yes, our country, is the leading producers and distributors of all kinds of pornography, even child pornography. All right, this is big business. It's all about the money. So here's where we are. This is what's happened. We call this a perfect storm scenario. Again, like I said, the internet itself is neutral, but you've got elements that have come together that create a perfect storm for the sexual exploitation of our children. Let me just say that too, also our adults, all right? Did anybody see The Perfect Storm, the movie? You remember how everything just kind of converged and it was much bigger and worse because of all the storms and elements coming together. Okay, first of all, you've got cyber-savvy kids online. 93% of our kids are actually on the internet and also now at a very young age. Next, of course, you have the burgeoning, huge pornography industry where this material is out there. It's not being prosecuted by and large. Let me just say, though, that law enforcement resources are very scarce, and the majority of law enforcement resources are going to prosecute child pornography and child stalking and getting those sexual predators and putting them away. Then, of course, you have sexual predators online who have easy and anonymous access to our kids. And then, like I've mentioned, lots and lots of law enforcement challenges. And then finally, cyber-challenged adults, right? Most of us, at least in my age bracket, we didn't grow up with the internet. We kind of refer to folks like me as the digital immigrants. Any digital immigrants out there? And our kids are the digital natives. I mean, do your kids know more than you do about the internet? Can I see a show of hands? Can they run circles around us? They're amazing, even at the ages of 4 and 5 years old. So, with all these issues going on, what we have still found, and this is where we are, and this is why we've developed this program, technology has come such a long way, and there are wonderful, wonderful tools out there for parents to use to protect their kids. Unfortunately, almost half of the parents who have kids on the internet are not using any kind of safety rule or software tool. All right? In many instances, they're not even talking to their kids about internet safety. All right? We've got all the challenges that we have with the laws, like I've mentioned. So this leaves the lion's share of the burden and the responsibility where? With the parents, these cyber-challenged parents. Well, we have found that parents oftentimes, when they hear about dangers on the internet, they fall into about 5 different categories. One is, it's not that bad. Anybody here that would be in that category, it's not that bad? You know more than that, right? So you're not in that category. The other is not my kids. I've got good kids, smart kids, engaged kids. They're involved in youth group at church, and maybe somebody else's kids, but not my kids. Thirdly, you know what? I've got it covered. I turned on a filter, and I've got the computer in a public area of the house, and I'm cool. All right? I got it. Not even thinking that Xbox, is really like a mini computer, or maybe the cell phone has internet access and they forgot to turn that off. All right? Then you've got the ones that say, you know what? It's just too much trouble. I don't have time to deal with it. I'm just going to throw the baby out with the bath water and just no more internet. We're just not going to go there. And then last, I've been hearing this a lot lately. You know what? I don't have to worry about it right now because my kids are really just too young. Well, let me just say this. I love this quote. No child is immune. No adult is immune. And somebody named Pastor Bill Perkins, I have no idea who he is, but I love his quote. He says, if you think you cannot fall into sexual temptation, then you're godlier than David, stronger than Samson, and wiser than Solomon. And I don't know anybody that's that strong and wise and godlier. So we are all vulnerable, and we have to recognize that this can hit us, this can hit our loved one, this can hit our children, this can hit someone in a very powerful way that we know and love. So, a number of years ago, I actually went to Congress, and I said, okay, we have got to develop a program where we can actually teach parents and help communities across the country understand in a very powerful and compelling way what the dangers are and that they have got to get engaged. All right, and we've been operating under several federal grants, and we developed this program that we call Internet Safety 101 Empowering Parents. And it has been touted as the best of the breed. We just piloted it in Virginia, and we're rolling it out nationally now. We developed a DVD four-part teaching series, about 40 minutes per session, all shot in high definition. And the different segments that we focus on is what we call Pornography 101. And here we talk about how the pornographers are actually behaving online to try to help people understand that kids and adults can accidentally get into this material. And that's intentional on the part of the pornographers. Predators 101, what is the MO of the predator? How are they grooming kids? How can we help kids stay safe and still use the internet in an effective way? Web 2.0, this is the whole social web. social networking, cyberbullying, which I know our First Lady is involved with, also online gaming, all these new evolving issues. And then at the very end, we teach about internet safety, using safety rules and software tools across all internet-enabled devices. We also have a workbook that goes with this as well as a website. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you just some little clips from our program, and then we're going to continue on.
We're seeing more and more of the unwanted exposure of kids to sexual content. So while the internet is being used for a lot of unlawful purposes, we think those are the areas where kids are at greatest risk.
When I first started getting my internet accounts or anything, I would get emails about sexual things like penis enlargements and stuff like that. Like, I'd be looking pictures up on Google and random, I'd be looking at the pictures and it would be pictures of naked people.
Gaming is actually, like I said, what started getting me on the computer. It can give you a lot of viruses though. It's pretty bad, and some actually are like pornographic video games, and I do not recommend that at all, because it'll get you wanting to look at the real thing because you're sick of the cartoon.
It started out with a pop-up, and then I told my friends about it, and then along with the chatting online and stuff like that, like a lot of my friends were already doing it. I just didn't know it. And you know, they were like, oh yeah, you should look at it and stuff like that, because I went to school and I was like, you know, I saw a pair of boobs online, and my friends were like, oh, for real? Like, all happy. And I was like, okay, I guess that's a good thing. So then from there, you know, I started checking it out more and getting more into it, and it led to me getting well addicted to it.
Even if you're not looking for it, you could be innocent. If you go on the computer, on the internet, and you're looking for something good, it will find you.
Teenagers, by the way, are one of the largest consumers of pornography, and it's not just teenage boys. It's teenage girls and younger girls, okay? Because they have access to this too.
I would talk to my kid, because it means a lot when a parent talks to their kid. Because I mean, if my dad would have taught me about it and would have warned me about it, then I'm sure I would have thought differently on the subject.
Don't look down on or scold them. Like, don't come off if, like, they have enough courage to come to you and say, look, I'm struggling with this. Like, they're obviously putting themselves in a very vulnerable position. Like, they're looking for help. They're saying, I'm sick of this. Like, can you help me please, like mom or dad? And they're coming to the one person that they know they trust. And don't look down or scold, or like she said, don't like freak out. Just, I don't know, come off in love and just come off and say, wow, like, thank you for like telling me this. Like, we'll try our best to do whatever we can to help you out, and like just like soak them up with love, because that'll be like the best thing, and it'll make them feel like not as dirty, and it'll make them feel like they made the right choice.
If my son came to me and said that, I'd be more than proud, because I struggle with that, like telling my parents like the problems I have, but porn was like one thing that I can't admit to it really. It's too like shameful to really like admit to. So if he said like, I'm struggling with porn, sure, I'd be a little disappointed, but I'd just smile at him and say, I'll help you through it.
Let them know that you still accept them, and that you don't think that they're disgusting or anything, and you won't change the way you think about them, because some kids think, you know, your parents are going to judge you, and let them know that you don't judge them, and that it's, you know, you still love them and stuff.
We need to step out of this limited box that the sex talk is a one-time event. That day is gone, and that it's limited to specific types of sexual behavior. So when we layer that, young childhood, pre-puberty, puberty, pre-dating years, through dating, pre-marriage, there's certain windows that are so critical for us to hit and to layer that discussion. When we do that, then when these young people encounter pornographic lies, they have a reference point to say, hey, that's not right. That's not what mom and dad taught me. That doesn't feel good. But if they don't have that, they're at the whim of whose voice and what images hit them first. So we have to decide who's going to win out, whose voice is going to get to them first.
Jill Manning will be doing a workshop, and she's also on the UCAP board, and I believe Jill is responsible for having me here, and she's just wonderful. She is one of Utah's finest, even though she's now living in Colorado. We're going to go here to another video. This is Alicia's story. Now, Alicia's story is one that has to do with predators, but I want to say this because it's very important that we understand this. Pornography is often at the root cause of sexual predation. We are actually finding that so many of these sexual predators started with adult material, then moved to child pornography, and then began acting out their fantasies on real children. Okay, so there's a whole cycle of abuse here, and often so often those who molest and prey on children themselves were molested as children. So we can stop the cycle of abuse, and one of the things is what you're doing here, and that is fighting this pornography issue and getting at the root cause. Alicia's story.
My name is Alicia Kozakevich, and when I was 13 years old, I was abducted by an internet predator.
In 2002, I was totally clueless as to the dangers of the internet. My daughter was sitting in a common room, talking to a box. You know, to my mind, that's what she was doing. All of the knowledge of the world is able to be gotten now through the internet.
Alicia had been engaging in online discussions with Scott Tyree, who was then a 40-year-old computer programmer from Herndon, Virginia. He was interested in sadomasochistic activity. He wanted to be a master for teen slave girls. He was looking for a child to make his sex slave. And Alicia was just starting to use the computer at that time and starting to use the internet and to engage in discussions of a sexually curious nature. And she talked with him about some of these activities, which I'm convinced she had no idea what he was talking about.
And then on New Year's Day of 2002, we were having a family dinner. And between dinner and dessert, as I was clearing the table, Alicia went up to her room. And we called her down for dessert, and she was gone.
I trusted him wholeheartedly. He was a friend, no matter what. He was my best friend and confidant. Tell him anything. He had the answer for any question. I remember opening the door and feeling the wind bite my face, and being at the top of the hill and hiding behind a tree. And when I said, you know what, why am I here? You know, my senses came back for a moment, why am I here? And I went to turn around and he called my name.
So when he brought Alicia to his home, he immediately abused her and then videotaped that abuse. And he broadcast this to his friends, to his network. And it was one of those individuals who saw this activity that reported it to law enforcement.
Well, he held me captive by a chain to my neck and a locked collar for 4 days. And he had a dungeon in the basement. And I mean, let your worst nightmares come to your mind, and that's what happened. You know. I was beaten and raped and tortured and treated like an animal. The rescue bell. That morning, before he left for work, he said, did he say? He said, "I'm starting to like you too much. So we're gonna go for a ride tonight." At which point I knew that it was do or die.
At the time the FBI entered Tyree's residence, Alicia was chained to the floor in his bedroom. She had a locked collar around her neck, and she was wearing just her panties. And the FBI immediately gave her a jacket, and she was very frightened.
They came in and busted down the door, and I was relieved, extremely relieved, once I saw those 3 letters, FBI, on the back of their jackets in bold yellow letters. I mean, that's not a feeling you can describe. It's being at the end of the rope, feeling like you're about to die, and then somebody saying, "Oh, no, you get a second chance at life, here you go." And I feel that I was rescued for a reason. And that reason is to save kids from the same thing happening to them, to show them that it can happen to them, that this is real, this isn't a horror story, a movie. This is real, these people exist.
Alicia is, she's really come a long way, and she's on our Internet Safety Council, and you may have seen her on the Oprah show last week. Did anybody catch that? Yeah. She's one of the brave survivors, and we have gathered so many of the top experts in the field of internet safety, clinicians like Jill, leaders like Ernie Allen, industry leaders from AOL, MySpace, and then parents, and even, Alicia, and a convicted sex offender, in fact, to try to educate communities and people about what's really going on out there, and to encourage them and motivate them to do what they need to do to protect these kids from these kinds of things happening. And we're very proud of Alicia. She and her parents have become very good friends of ours. Well, Jill Manning wanted me to let you know and to remind you that you're not alone. All right, there are lots of efforts going on nationally and in statewide and in local communities around the country. I think it's really important that you know that. Pro-family groups like Concerned Women for America and Focus on the Family. And let me just say, there are a lot of internet safety groups out there, like Enough is Enough, but let me just say, most of them are predator-focused. Very few, in fact, I can't think of any right now besides us, that really hit the pornography issue head on. They typically talk about pornography as inappropriate content, all right, and not for the toxic content that it is and how it fuels all these other problems. State and local groups, and I know you've got a number of them here, like the Light a Candle Society and UCAP. And I got a call a couple of weeks ago from a group from Arizona saying, "We need people to do this." And I said, "Well, why don't you come to Utah? I'm going to be there." Did you guys make it, Arizona? Did you make it? Yeah? Okay, well, maybe they didn't. They said they were... There they are. Okay, there they are. They're way in the back. All right, welcome, Arizona. Idaho. In fact, I don't know of a state that doesn't have a pro-family or an anti-pornography effort going on, so you're not alone, okay? We can do this together, and you are, in my opinion, one of the leading states on this issue, and so I just want to applaud you, and you should applaud yourself. So give yourself a round of applause. Now, the program that I just mentioned that we developed with the Department of Justice, we piloted in Virginia with groups like yours, with Virginia PTA, community groups, with the AG's office, and Verizon Foundation. And I've got some, I hope, good news for you. We'd like to bring this program to the state of Utah. Enough is Enough has just put in for 2 very large federal grants to bring this program to your state. And And if that turns out the way we hope it will, we'll be looking forward to partnering with you on this. And you've already got, like I said, you've got that three-prong strategy working in your state. You've got a compassionate governor and first lady that care about this issue. One of the top AGs in the country with one of the top internet crimes against children task forces in the country that have made this a priority. Okay, you've got industry, Net Nanny, one of the top parental controls company in the country, in the world, right here in Salt Lake City, and community groups like I've already mentioned. So you are prime. You are prime to really take this to the next level. And I just want to ask you a very important question. Is our children's innocence worth fighting for? Yes? Is it worth fighting for? All right, it absolutely is. And we can do this one child at a time, one family at a time, one community at a time, and one state at a time. Thank you, Utah. It's great to be with you. Good luck.